Shalom, shalom to Brother Kadash. Want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders. Peace, blessings, and honors to all the brothers in the truth. The Lord is turning up the heat on them.
Heat wave from the northern plains to New England is breaking records while the South faces a severe weather threat. Meanwhile, red flag fire warnings have been posted in several western states where a historic drought is threatening a catastrophic fire season. Mola Lengi reports from Boston.
Boston is under a heat emergency. Temperatures rose above 90 degrees for the third consecutive day.
In the last couple of days, we've had 18 calls that we've flagged as being, directly heat related. But on top of that, we've seen a 31% increase in our call volume for the last 48 hours.
Many flocked to cooling centers and neighboring parks. Why'd you guys come out here today? It's hot, yeah. More than 24 million people from the northern plains to New England and parts of Texas are under a heat advisory. Today, at least 6 states set record highs. It was a similar story in Wisconsin, where libraries are offering an escape.
We changed our policy to allow drink in the library so people can bring their water bottle in or fill their water bottle.
Severe drought conditions across the West have helped fuel 2 wildfires in Arizona, forcing hundreds to evacuate homes.
Oh man, it's getting hot outside, man. And we know with fire season right around the corner, it's going to be worse than ever before. They still ain't recovered from last fire season, especially all in California, Arizona, and stuff like that. Man, it's getting hot outside. And then you talk about famines of things, famines of food. I mean, it's just like a big bowl, or I should say like a cup of the Lord's wrath. I mean, it's all being mixed together in the same cup, man. The Lord ain't playing. Think about this. You got famines. So you know how famine of food and water make people react? It make people like animals. Then you got the heat being turned up on them. You know what heat make people? It makes people aggressive. Then you talk about things like pesticides, fear, people having to do things out of fear, famines of different things. We talking about the heat, all these things coming together, man. It's going to be, shit's about to hit the fan, and you can kind of see all of it forming together. This is Matthew chapter 24. This is prophecies being fulfilled. I start at verse 7. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines and pesticides." But key word, those famines. So when this fire season happened, there's famines. Oh yeah, that's another one. You got blackouts. They're talking about blackouts. They're talking about possible EMP attacks and stuff like that, or the grid going out, or just from the heat, from it being so hot that could throw your grid off. So you see what happened in Texas when it was so cold that they went off grid pretty much. They didn't have power and stuff like that, and how people were acting. So with the heat wave, that could throw off the grid, and then you could have something similar to blackouts. They call them rolling blackouts now, but you could have blackouts where you don't have no electricity. So if it's this hot outside and there's famines of things, and you can't go run the faucet and get water, you don't have no electricity for cooling. Oh man, it's the perfect storm. But back in Matthew 24 verse 7, "For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines and pesticides and earthquakes in diverse places." And then on top of that, earthquakes too. And last season, it was a lot of earthquakes. Some very scary ones that people was paying attention to. Watch this season. Verse 8, "All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and should kill you, and ye should be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Right, because us that's really teaching the truth. You got these other prophets. They're false prophets, but they don't want to offend nobody, and they don't want to be hated. In reality, they want to be loved for it, and you can see that in what they teach. Verse 10, it says, "And then shall many be offended." So a lot of people gonna get offended. What we call it today. I'm ticked off, right? If it's too hot, you be like, "Look, man, it's too hot outside today for this. It's too hot outside for today for this or for that." You can't be playing like that. I'm ticked off. People are gonna get offended. But they're going to get offended for us teaching the truth too. And should betray one another. You got betrayal. You got people setting up. That's what the heat do. That's what famines do. And shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and should deceive many. Those false prophets that's rising with your churches and these different dudes that go to these seminars and think they know the Bible. They're false prophets because they're prophesying false things like a rapture before tribulation and stuff like that. Well, the reason why a person would prophesize a rapture before tribulation is because they want to give people hope and they don't want to be hated. They don't want to tell people the hard truth that you're going to have to go through tribulation. Matter of fact, Matthew 24 that we're reading, we're going to get down to, it tells you that. They don't want people to know that. They want to tell people sweet things to their ears because they want to be liked. They don't want to be hated. You see what I'm saying? And they don't want to offend you. They want you to like them. They want you to come to them. They want you to give them your money and your time and your heart and your attention. So they don't want to offend you and they don't want to be hated. So that's what makes them false prophets. Verse 12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Ain't gonna be no love in the streets, man. Whatever love that is left out there. Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same should be saved. Not saved before you have to endure through tribulation, but you have to go through tribulation and endure to the end. The same should be saved. So we're going to have to go through all this. And the gospel of this kingdom should be preached in all the world for a witness into all nations. And then the end should come. And who's teaching the truth? The gospel, us. By the way of the internet, and we on the highways and byways with the camps.
Outside of Phoenix, more than 100,000 acres have burned. In neighboring Utah, the dry conditions prompted the governor to call for a weekend of prayer.
We need more rain, and we need it now. We need some divine intervention.
The heat and humidity also produced scattered severe thunderstorms from Alabama to Texas, where a woman's body was recovered after floodwaters swept her car off the road. More than 100 homes were flooded outside of Houston. Well, back here in Boston, the extreme heat is expected to continue tomorrow with temperatures above 90s for the fourth day straight. Meanwhile, in Minneapolis, about a dozen schools there have announced they're moving to remote learning as the extreme heat is expected to continue there for the rest of the week. Elaine?
Mola Lenghi, thank you. For more, let's bring in CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist.
This early in the season, this has been a very intense heat wave. It is really hot on top of 2 months, 96 rain across the Ohio, impressive with feels like temperature.
The Lord turning the heat up on them. Salvation to the elect, shalom.